Christian, how are you?
Hey, Tim, how are you? Thank you for
Good.
the invitation.
Good. Welcome to the channel. It's I think it's been 2 months since we started saying we should get you onto the show to talk about the project you're going to share, right?
Yes, the time flies.
Yeah, it does. It does. My apologies. Life's just crazy. I'm sure you've also been busy, and I think the beginning of the year is always a very hectic sort of time to get together. But that's when we all have these ideas to connect. Just before we started talking, I asked you how we should say your name correctly, and I think I got the first name correct. It's Christian, yeah. No emphasis
Yes.
on the H. There we go. But then I asked you how you say your full name, and you had a funny story to share. So maybe I'll let you share it.
Yes, it is. My name is Cristian Saavedra. In fact, my name is Cristian de Jesus Saavedra de Monahon.
Okay.
Cristian, my name, Saavedra, my last name, and de
Right.
Monahon, that is French, my second last name.
Right.
And it's funny because in my country, I am Colombian, and in my country, we use normally two last names because
Right.
everybody has kind of the same last names because it's common. Like, for example, in US, Smith, that everybody has a Smith. Then that happened a lot in Colombia, and because of that, the rule is that normally you use two last names.
Right.
And here in US, is only using one, and everything in the middle, things like is the middle name.
Right.
Then the funny history is that I was in DC last year and took a picture and then post the picture with my name on there and say Cristian de Monahon and remove my real last name, that is Saavedra.
Oh, love it. That's such good context because I would have got that wrong completely. And I think it's an important part of our identities, I think, getting our names correct, right? And so I think it's a useful point of context. You're a prominent member of the community, and I think probably everyone's probably mentally made that mistake. So glad we're able to sort of share the context and share your heritage a bit as well. You're obviously here to talk about the DataDev community, but before we do that, I just wanted to ask you, how did you get into Tableau in the first place? Sort of what made you discover the product, if that makes sense?
Okay, I am blessed to be in data analytics a long time ago. I have more than 20 years working with this.
Incredible.
I begin with as a consulting with an Oracle partner in my city. Taking a big companies like the biggest open sky coal mine in the world.
Wow.
Then from there, I was moving in analytics, data warehouse, databases, software, all of this aspect. Then I basically joined to a company that is a telecom company, and there they have a project, and we use many tools, many visualization tools, many analytical tools. And then one of the time they say, no, why don't test Tableau? I think that was around 2010, 2012.
Wow, very early.
Yeah, so that I remember is the version. I used the 9.04. That is my first touch Tableau. And I remember that the next version comes with basically the 10 that comes with the hyperfiles. And
the redesign, Mac support, hyperfiles. That was a big release, version 10.
Then I know before when we were using only the TDS and the export guns, and was really slower.
Yes. Hyper was a big change, wasn't it? And I think it's for everyone who's learned Tableau, the majority of people who've learned Tableau have learned it recently, right? Even many of the members of the community that we think are, visionaries or excellent people have all discovered it very recently. The history goes way back. I think you've been in the industry as long as the product has existed. So you've not only seen Tableau probably grow to prominence, but you've also probably seen the industry change as well. So that's an incredible journey to be on.
In fact, I was blessed, as I say, because in the telecom, in 2008, I was handling around 100 million rows in one table for one day. And that and then 20 years after, they call it big data. And I was like, it's not only big data, but you know what I mean? Like volume,
exactly.
The volume. And that was my daily before. And we don't have the machine that we have now. So all everything.
Would have taken a while, wouldn't it? I'll come back to that because I think it's an interesting question around how the challenges around big data have existed for a long time. Businesses have always been analyzing data at scale. It's just that I think the marketing in products has really focused in on that term, because product marketing is actually latched onto this concept of scale, and therefore this term big data makes you think of platforms in a bigger, more robust way, right? But in reality, not much has changed.
I mean, it is a big changes in the back, but
yeah. The hardware has definitely changed. So
the hardware, and also to make it predictable. In the past, I mean, the keyword is commodity, that you can add more machines, and basically, if you need that the process run faster, is only adding more machines. That we cannot do it in the past. I remember that we have a monster and still cannot do it.
That's very fair. That's fair, and it's good. It's good that you've also probably you've had a consistent presence in the space. So you've seen this evolution happen, probably mostly from a Tableau perspective, but also just generally in your role and the work that you're expected to do. You probably have a very rich career, right?
Yes, it is. And in fact, about data warehouse, there are two persons that are the key presidents in community, in business, and everything. One is Ralph Kimball, that is basically designing, snowflakes, that they how the schemas should be the modeling to do a better data warehouses. And another is Bill Imon, that also is an important person in this history about data warehouse. And data warehouse and BI is basically can be misleading right now, because the marketing can not understand what it really means. There are people that think that it's a technology, and really it's more as an area. And in my case, I was really blessed because I can work with the Kimball group, that is at the end who is the Kimball. And believe it or not, Bill Imon, her daughter, worked with me in the same company where I was working.
Oh, wow.
Then we have, it was funny.
You have incredible heritage in your career and your the colleagues. It's incredible.
Yes, it is. That is a key thing for me, because amazing people is in my path. That if you try to connect with these guys, basically it's not possible.
This is correct.
And I, in fact, when I told you about the coal mine, I don't know if you remember, in the past we have some microsystem that was built by Oracle.
Yes.
Some microsystem was well known because the software is really well designed.
Yeah.
And they have this structure of gurus that is kind of I think that is higher than the concept of the visionaries, because are more deeper in knowledge.
Yeah.
But the guru was a few of people in the world. And I also worked in the coal mine with a guru in a room that I was there living like 8 months consecutive in the middle of a desert with no one to connect, no internet. And basically I have basically work with you team in the same room every day. And I have advices that is, if I need to pay you to give me an advice, it's going to be high the cost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's incredible. You were just there.
It is.
Wowza. So how did you, you got into Tableau. What then led you down, I'm going to say, the data dev route, if that makes sense? We'll come on to what data dev is in a second, but I think it's interesting to see that journey and how people go on that journey, because I don't hear any history around development or coding. So how did you make that jump?
Okay. First, I am can we say that like a full stack engineer, and more in the computer software, meaning that it's not specialized in data warehouse or BI. And basically what I need to do, I search how to do it, and I'm really curious. In some cases, I want to know how that works and then get deeper and deeper.
That's incredible.
And because of that, I connected with the Tableau DataDev community. I think that was around 2019, 18, when I begin to be more active.
Yeah.
Then because of that, I know Tristan, I know Merlin from that conferences.
Yeah.
Begin to have a close relation with everybody, because the cool part with the DataDev community is that we are small. If you notice, the ambassadors is between 12 people to 20 maximum. And each year add like 3 more. Then
within each group. Yeah.
You compare with the other groups that have like 200 ambassadors. We are then it's easier to have a close relation, like a friendship.
True.
Because also at the same time we have the same problems, and it's difficult to
you all turn to each other.
Yes, it is. Then what happened there is that I know a person that for me is a key person in my life, that was Gigi. I don't.
Okay, Gigi. Yeah. Gigi is incredible. Yeah.
And Gigi, basically, it was funny. I was telling you, because we was talking about few days ago about, like, if you remember how all of this begins. And I basically I have a problem that I need to test something in a desktop, but I didn't have a license in my personal computer. And I asked it to Gigi, hey, how can I get a license? What I need to have a license? Because I
know where this is going.
I don't want to pay,
Yeah, I know where this is going.
As a research only, not as something commercial. And basically, she told me something in joke, like maybe you need to begin at be an ambassador, because the ambassadors get a license test. And it's a joke, but at the end, I got the ambassador.
That's what you did.
Yes, I got my ambassador 4 years ago. It's not easy to remember, because the years is not the same as the day.
Correct.
But I am 4 times ambassador. I mean, that should be between 4 and 5 years ago.
Yeah. It's in programming, it's called the fence post problem. I don't know if you know about this. Yeah. So what are you counting? Are you counting the fence posts, or are you counting the gap between the fences? Right. I'll put a graphic on the screen, because that's a very nerdy thing. But we can talk about it some other time.
I know you want to.
But this is incredible. So you talk to Gigi. She says, you need a license. She says, oh, go become ambassador as a joke. Here you are, you're ambassador for 4 times in a row, right?
Well, was not the reason, but it's funny that I remember.
That was the start of the conversation. Exactly. And so, digging into it a little bit more, then, what made you sort of go into the APIs? Like, what kind of got you into that? You talked about Merlin, you talked about Tristan. What is it that they were working on that sort of made you intrigued, or what problems were you trying to solve? Maybe that's a better way to sort of frame the direction.
Oh, man. First, I try to, the issue that I have, and is a course that I comes all my life, is that I am so busy that I need to free my time.
Right.
Because of the people begin to ask me, how you do that? And then begin to drag my time. And because of that, I need to automate it. I need to do something that it works by himself. I need to do something that I can give to another person and can continue. And that is when the DataDev for me was bless, because I need to, I have struggles. For example, in the past I was working in a unicorn company, and in this one they have this issue. On the weekends they refresh the Tableau by a schedule. And then the data was not ready, and the meeting was at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. every Monday. Right. Then when they come there, basically they have troubles because the data was not reflecting what it is. Because basically the problem of the schedule. Then my first DataDev project was basically create something that check when the data is ready. And then in that moment, only in this moment, refresh
the data. Yeah.
Then it was a simple one, but have a so impact in the company, because the people told me, hey, thanks you, because now I can sleep on weekends.
Weekends.
Then that is my first part when I touch DataDev as something that I see it, that I use it. And from there, I begin to learn more about the REST APIs, more about the extensions. For example, Merlin did a really cool extension in that time that is the Mario Bros equivalent.
Yeah.
Then I want to say, okay, how he do it? And then because I am curious, I try to understand it. And that is how I begin with the extensions and all of this stuff. I really love it.
It's incredible. So yeah, and then here we are. 20 years into your career, you're here, you're talking about it, and I think we're going to get into the project shortly. But I think let's start at the basics, because everyone's probably watching, going, "What is a data dev? Like, what do you mean developing?" Because I'll get something off my chest which really annoys me. Recruiters and HR people in the community, and to be fair, us as well, we call ourselves Tableau developers, right? But I always find this term really confusing, because to me, a developer is very different from someone who just knows how to use a piece of software. And the analogy I always give is, we don't call people who are good as Excel developers, do we? Like, we just call them Excel users. We don't call PowerPoint people who know how to use PowerPoint developers. We just call them, analysts or consultants or whatever we call them.
I know.
But I think this term Tableau developers makes it very confusing for your own group, because in very much you're the actual developers. You are developing capabilities using the API in the sort of true sense of the term developer, right? Whereas Tableau developers from an analyst perspective, I think is not quite reflective of what's going on. And that's not to say people aren't building things in Tableau. People build dashboards and apps, but I just think that split is very, very confusing. So what is the difference between what you do, data dev, and being a Tableau developer, as people like to call them, someone who builds a dashboard? What is the big difference?
To be honest, in my case, I think that both kind of people share something that is built.
Yes.
I mean, at the end, developers as a Tableau person that take from nothing, take data, modify it, show in a way that is useful, and create beautiful dashboard, that take the attention of the people and make easier their decisions. It's not so different to a person that take code and basically produce something that, because I feel like we share something about artists, in the middle, it's a triangle. Yes. It's basically a triangle. You need to do, in my case, I am an engineer, then you can call it different ways, but this mindset of procedurally, understand all the processes and understand things, how that works. The other part of the triangle is business. Like, I really understand what the people need to take decisions. And the last one is like an artist. Then we share, I'm sure that between Tableau developer as the person who works more with producing dashboard or workbooks, or using Tableau as a front end and create something with that.
Yeah.
Share with the people who is in the back end and produce code or produce other products.
Yeah.
But yes, it's confusing. That is why the real developer part, we call it, is only DataDev, because then you say, okay, DataDev is this guy. So he's the person who knows about REST APIs and knows about, I don't know, metadata API, Hyper API, and also how internally works.
Yeah.
I don't know, not too many people know that at the end, the Tableau use XML files and the bottom. Then I just have a conversation with a friend that need to change this table that have like our 100 columns. And then an easy way is basically go to the XML and replace.
Change it. Yeah. I did that just last week.
Wow.
Yeah. I did that just last week. I was like, I need to change this connection. The only thing that's different is a schema. Everything else is exactly the same, because it's just like prod and dev. So I was just like, just faster as XML. If you try and do this in the workbook, it's gonna it just takes it takes really long, because then it's going to change all the connections. You have to rebuild your model. Then your colors will go and your styles will go, and then it's just like, oh no, but one change in the XML, boom, done. Very easy.
Then coming to your question, maybe I think that the big difference is that the mindset that we have is more to automate, to free time and reproduce. The people who is a developer, as a developed dashboard, try to do it basically more like they develop a product and deliver the product. Right. But if you want to reuse it, it's not the mindset of reusing. I think that is the big difference. But the rest, we are trying to do the same.
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, it's very fair. I started off with the frustration, and you've brought me back into the center ground. We're all part of the same community at the end of the day, so I appreciate it. So we've talked a little about DataDev. Maybe I'll give you the floor a little bit to talk about the project that you're part of, but then also we can have a look at the DataDev community, Comunidatos, which you're part of, and you can kind of share that. So should we start with the projects that you're working on, and then we can kind of transition to the other parts? Yeah.
Sure. Previous to go to there, I want to thanks to Rosario Gauna. Rosario was the first person that basically she pushed me to be in the community, independent of the DataDev stuff. She pushed me like I need to be closer with the community. She showed me the people here. She showed me this great community. And that is, without her, I am not here. It's basically between Gigi and Rosario was the original person that pushed me that. And also my friends from Comunidatos that came in the last 4 years. It's a big fight because it's not too much information in Spanish. And basically what we try to do is more like give resources and give more opportunities. Because there are smart people from our countries. I mean, Latin countries are really smart, but because have the barrier of the language, then it basically doesn't have the same options.
True. Very true. Lots of the content is in English, and so it's freely available. But if it's not available in your native language, English becomes a barrier. And not only that, I think the way things are explained can be very different in different cultures. So a concept that maybe works really well in English maybe doesn't work so well in Spanish. So you do need a little bit of an effort to, create like a localized reference, not just for the language, but also the concepts that you use to teach as well. It's really important.
Okay. That is right. Then let me share, and I can
absolutely
maybe. Let's begin with Comunidatos. First is this project is something that comes from the heart. As I say, we try to help the people to break the barrier of the language, and basically have a monthly or kind of a monthly presentation in a talk that is called Comunidatos. We are the biggest community in Spanish. And we are growing, and so growing that we are really happy that begins as a virtual talk, and now we have a local talks that is also represented from the first one. Then we have this concept of like a cell, that you multiply the cell, and then basically now we are in Mexico, Peru, Costa Rica, Buenos Aires, and we are growing. Then that for us is really happy, because it's not only that you did an effort and now you make you help others, is that also others begin to replicate the same as you, and you feel that it's a snowball of, instead of problems, a snowball of good things that comes.
That's really good. So I didn't realize that you had these different subgroups as well.
In Comunidatos, we are basically the people that is here is amazing. Is in the majority, I don't know if by luck or by something that happened there, is that we are between ambassadors and visionaries. As visionaries, we have Pablo Gomez, Diego Parker, and me currently. But we also had Paola and Rui, that both are working now with Salesforce, and that is why they have to
step out. Yeah, yes. Makes sense.
And as ambassadors, also we have Jamil, Paula Munoz, that she's with me in the DataDev community, and Victor Calderon, that is a talk leader also as ambassador. I mean, we are good people there, and this one is only the leaders. I mean, there are more people there that is
true. True. Yeah, it's a community, as it were, right? And I think leaders are just, I guess, the pinnacle of the group, right? There are many people that make the community. So that's incredible. I hope it continues to grow. And I think the other thing is, talks like this, but also people like yourselves are showcasing, I think, the non-traditional aspects of Tableau, for example. So when you Google Tableau, the first thing you'll probably see how to do is build a dashboard, right? But it's interesting for people to know that they can have a place in the community doing non-Tableau development kind of things, if that makes sense. So not dashboard building, but being an engineer, working across the stack, working with APIs, automating things. All of these things are things that actually there's a thriving community of people with those skills from those communities who can also take part in the product.
Yes, it is, and that is why basically my second project, or the second project where I am active right now, is DataDev as a group. We just launched it the last Friday as a renew, because in the past was a group that was
2023
handled by Kyle and Zach, and in the past they was called Tableau Coders Initiative, and now, between some friends from the community, leaders, ambassadors, all of them, basically we rebranded and created the DataDev user group.
That's amazing.
And the idea here is more like a bring this initially as a monthly meeting, but basically bring how we can do example of DataDev. And in the future, if is possible, basically bring interviews and things that in the DataDev community is highlighted. Because the first problem that we have with the DataDev is that it's not enough like examples. Is when you go first, Tableau has a lot of DataDevs. If we go to the page that is Tableau developer or developer.tableau.com, basically, if you go here, you will see
all the APIs,
that we have these areas, okay?
Yeah.
But if we select any one of these areas, if we go, to connectors, then basically, if we go to
connect, the page is a bit confusing. So this is the page,
Yes. Is like a month ago or 2 months ago was rebranded and
correct,
but it's still in working process. That is why it's still the internal ones is the old version. But basically, if we go to each of them, you will see there is many options that is completely
correct.
Like for example, R as a language is completely different people who use it compared with the Python. Or if we are talking about APIs, is basically like more the web development area or more the backend related. When you are using Hyper API, is basically creating a physical file that is more databases knowledge. Then it's completely different persons inside of the DataDev, or the way how it thinking is completely different things inside of the DataDev. Then the first problem that we notice is that it's difficult to learn about this because the examples is not there. Like, I mean, when I go to the documentation and the GitHub of each of them, basically I need to have a pre-knowledge of how the other people do a software that is enterprise, or then it's confusing. Because of that is that many of the community, and this is a dream that we have a long time ago. Like I remember this conversation in the last 3 or 4 years, is only that this year was the first time that we say, let's do it. And then basically with a few friends from the community, I'm going to mention the person here. We created this challenge that is called Tableau DataDevQuest.
Yes.
Then, if we go to the About Us, basically, we will see the person involved is first Kyle, that is one of the...
Yeah. I know Carl. Yeah, I've been on calls with Carl, Marcelo as well.
The visionary with Marcelo and me in the DataDev. And we was really lucky because at the beginning, we was between all of three, we say, okay, guys, all of us deserve... I don't know if you get it, because it's difficult that one person, three person get in the same spot, you know? What's funny?
That's huge recognition, yeah.
Yes.
And then the Spider-Man meme where you're all pointing at each other.
Yes. But at the same, we talk between us and say, hey, everybody deserves. And I hope that the three can pass, and then with the three pass again. We was really happy. Yeah. I say to them that I'm more happy that the three of them pass and get the visionary than get it by myself only. You know, because we are friends.
Yeah.
Also, Jordan, that is amazing. Jordan is a person who domain the REST API. In fact, he is one of the biggest contributor in some library that is called Tableau Server client. That is.
Oh, really? I use that so much. Wow, it's amazing.
I'm not going to say that Jordan did it, but basically everything that is new, everything that is there is Jordan. Is the guy who is in background doing that. He was in the past heavily using in the administration part, and that is why he began to be active in that. And now it's like his baby. And from there, didn't keep it.
I did not know that. That's so fascinating. So amazing.
Paula Munoz, that is, I know Paula. She's really amazing. I bring to Comunidatos and the rest of the team basically say that she need to join as a leader in Comunidatos because his vibe is amazing. She knows he's organized and I want to help. And the same happened with the Tableau Data Ambassador. Then she had the opportunity to join to us, and he did an amazing. I don't know if you saw it, but there is a product that she did for document the workbook.
Yes, I did see. Yes. I think there's a few of those, but I think I did see hers. Yeah, let me try and remind myself.
And also Zach, who was in the community with us in the original team that is coders, the Tableau Coders Initiative. Basically, Kyle and Zach was the owner of that, and then they agree to rename the group and also expand to all of these leaders. Then the same leaders is basically the ones that are in the DataDev Challenge. That we call it DataDevQuest. And the idea of this challenge is that we have a mountain challenge. How it works is that we have two levels. For example, if I'm going to show the mime, and then after that, the last one that is Kyle. But basically, if you go to the list, then you can see, this one is the beginning one, and this one is the intermediate one.
I see.
Then if you say, I don't have any idea about how to do DataDev, okay. In my case, and that raises the level, because I have a conversation with Jordan that, now we need to follow Cristian. But the idea that I have in my mind is more like show you step by step what do you need to do from scratch, give you a lot of resources. And I have my own blog, then basically you can go there and see. But I try to do it is in the old way of the documentation, like a step, with photos that you are
really detailed as well.
Yes, it is, and that is the full idea. That basically explain you, you need to configure that, but what is this? And then you can click it and see more
personal access tokens. So you've linked to the actual documentation. That's so important because so much of Tableau is like using a term inside of a term. You know, you can say a whole sentence just using marketing terms.
It is, and in our word. The problem is that it's so complex and so big that you will see these circles around with many technologies, and in some moment I am lost of what you're referring to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because it's too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
Okay, then basically here I show you a beginner challenge, and I at the end of, you can replicate all of these steps and it's going to work. But I give you an extra challenge, like hey, how can you do a republish and tell me why it's failing? Then it's a tricky one, and then the person that is really curious is going to learn a lot. And at the end, I show the solution, and I explain the challenge of what you need to do and why. The same for the intermediate. The only thing is that the intermediate is a little less explained. That I basically go more to the point of what you need to do. And here you will get more like a bigger challenge. For example, let me go to the top. And sorry, this one is the Jordan one. Then I click the different one. And here, for example, the challenge is more about, take, for example, look, this is I love it. This one is, this is a visualization that did Kyle. And if you click in each of them, it's going to change the circle and the values. And all of this is a parameter. Then it's a parameter selection, right? Related with parameters. Then that I want to do is print this in a PDF by each of the values.
I see.
Then it's something that you cannot do right now by default in Tableau.
Yeah, not in default, yeah.
But imagine that you have a PDF with all of the possible combinations and say, okay, if it's FIFA and it's Revolution and they have a PDF, it's something that the marketing normally needed, because the people who is working in marketing needed when do this dashboard that is more visual, that is not only for take decision. It's because it's basically something that they want printed, right?
Yeah.
Then these kind of things can do it with the DataDev, and that is why we try to do these examples that we learn, but at the same time help you to common problem that you have every day.
I was going to say this is very good because it gives you, when you're stuck, you'll Google, hopefully, and you'll find this blog. And when you find this blog, I think this example is short enough for you to be able to learn how it works and then apply it directly to your work immediately after, right? These are not like big coding projects with like a 3-week course, that's going to take you 7 hours or something. It's, I've got a problem. I need to do this. Oh, there's a way to do it, and it's got the API. Cool. Let me have a look at this. Spend 30 minutes learning it. Maybe I can then spend another hour implementing it on my own work, and I can do that in half a day. Very nice.
Yes, and also the full idea of that is that you know that it's possible to do it. Now you know that exists a technology, in this case, for example, REST API, and begin to spark the give you a light.
The creative thoughts, yeah.
You can do these things, and now you say, oh, what else I can do? And then begin to deep in what you can do, because it's amazing what we can do with DataDev. The only thing is that not too much people know it. It's basically.
Yeah. It's very good.
That is that we try to help, solve this issue, showing by example. And very it's also for us, because Jordan, for example, is an expert with the REST API. I use it a lot, but he is off the top of the REST API. Then when he published when he published his post, I learned a lot, because it's more challenging in a way that I never thought that it's possible to do something that he was saying.
Yeah.
Or right now we have the last one that Kyle mentioned, that is a common problem with administration. Hey, I already have this connection and I need to change it. Then what I can change, what I cannot change, how I can do it massive, because I have a lot of and somebody changed a connection and lost me a weekend doing that. How can I do a script that can run this every time that I need it and nothing else?
Yeah. And you can build like tools, essentially, to fill gaps that come up in your business all the time. Like if you have to do these things once, chances are it's not going to be the first, and it's not going to be the last time you have to do it, right? So being able to repeat it is very good, and making it easier for yourself, so you can A, document it, B, you have a process, but also you can build a solution that other people can potentially use, right? You don't have to just stop with your own help.
Yes, correct. And in the community, you will see that is beginning to create products. For example, the case of Merlin and Tristan, that is not only these extensions or dashboard extension anymore. It's basically, no, I am thinking about the watershard visualization, something like that, like a specific product you have in mind, or connections, migration. I know, for example, that Toy History team has a product for migration.
Oh, Timothy Vermelin, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, the cloud, the server to cloud migration. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. That's built on the SDK, I think.
Yes. And from that begins to, create companies' products, or inside of the companies create products. That is something, for example, in my case, that we are trying to do. I am working right now in CEO Matrix. That is a consulting company for Tableau. We are the second partner in Tableau right now. And one of the things that we are doing is creating internal products for the data that is using DataDev.
Right.
I'm really happy to work with this company. It's amazing what we are doing. And that is all. I mean, it's a good opportunity to bring this DataDev stuff to customers. And believe it or not, this in the past was seen more like a script only,
Yeah, it's true. And people frown upon scripts, right? Because they think of them as like unsupported shadow IT, things in the background. But when you polish them up, you turn them into sort of robust products. Suddenly people trust them more, right? And you can then start to, I think that's when the real creativity begins, because, if I take, the two examples you've given, Timothy, Tristan, Infotopics, the first things they did were all experiments, but they were experiments that they then turned into things that the community could use, very easily. And once they did that, the gap to then make into product was very small, because by making it visible to the community, it showed that these projects, these sort of experiments, can actually be very easy to use, reliable, and if they've been thought through well, then they're actually very easy to adopt, right? And it's something that's not been common before in Tableau, because I think a lot of people had scripts in the past, but they weren't very accessible. You needed to know the language to run them, and they didn't have that package. So with Tableau APIs in general, it feels like we get into the place now where there's so many APIs and there's so many ways to work with them, and more thought is being put into how to package them, so people like myself who maybe aren't big developers can use them a lot more.
Yes, that is happening.
Good. So with this project, I guess, you've obviously got like a pretty keen audience. I'm trying to wonder, like, do you think you'll get to a place where maybe you've done this for a year, 2 years, 5 years? Where do you kind of see the opportunity with not just the Tableau world we have today, but the Tableau of the future, where, I mean, from what I can see, more and more APIs are being created. The example I give you is this SQL Data Service, right? That API is the same API that powers Tableau Pulse, right? And it's interesting that Tableau have built that so they can build Tableau Pulse, but then they've also made it available to developers to build their own solutions on top of Tableau. And then having built Tableau Pulse, they've also then gone and built another API so you can embed Tableau Pulse. So you have so many different levels that the same API is enabling, and there's so many different options to get involved. And so the question I'm trying to frame to you is, where do you see sort of the opportunity for, what you do and what other people are doing in the community to go? Do you see it opening up even more, or do you see it as a challenge? And then maybe there's areas where Tableau could open up even faster, if that makes sense.
There is a lot of opportunities for first using what we have right now, because basically you can solve issues of integration. You can solve issues of automatization, like something that you do many times and need to reduce the time.
Right.
And that is because of that. Basically, Tableau is seen as we need to invest and create more of this.
Yeah.
And it's forced because, for example, now to need to integrate with salesforce. Yeah. And that the people doesn't know is that basically previous to this integration, we have the embedded JavaScript.
Yes.
This embedded JavaScript API, without that it's impossible to put the salesforce look and feel with the Tableau. And because that exists, is that now was quickly the connection and basically.
Yeah. So the version 3 API is what you're talking about.
The same with the hyperfiles. For example, the hyperfiles, if I know well, the hyperfiles now is not only using for Tableau. The hyper is an interesting
Salesforce
file because it's fast, how internally it works. And now is using other products inside of Salesforce that is using Hyper.
Yeah.
And only is available because we have the Hyper API.
Yeah.
Then there is a line with begin to divide Tableau and divide to split it in, it's not Tableau anymore, but it's part of what is Tableau, that
ecosystem.
The mission, at the end, the mission of Tableau is basically that the people can take decisions without technical knowledge, without I need to have the experience that Tim and Christian has to know. The idea is like you have the problem, more near that the problem is the tools is in your hands, more easy that the solutions happens, because the only person that knows how to solve it is the person who is in the front line. Then it's a line that is beginning to, like a split.
Diverge, it's becoming hard. Yeah. You said something really profound there. Yeah.
That the SQL Data Services, there is a moment if you recognize Tableau because the visual, and all the marketing around is that this a visualization tool to basically have a difference between BI and visualization.
Yeah.
Okay, but when you remove the visualization, it's still Tableau.
What is it? Yeah. You've said something really profound that just blew my mind, because I've been struggling with this framing because I keep trying to explain to people, like, what is Tableau? And the way I explain it today is I show them all the places that Tableau works. So I show them the cloud, I show them all these things. But your concept is actually much more powerful. It's like Tableau is a philosophy around how you handle data, right?
Yeah.
And that philosophy can live both inside of Salesforce and the Tableau ecosystem. Doesn't matter where it goes, now in web products, wherever it goes, it's sort of transcended the products that we're used to. I think that's a really powerful way to frame it, because I think in the community, we're still too stuck on, is that desktop? Is that cloud? Is that thing? And actually, maybe this is why you're a data dev. You as a community have already realized that there is more to Tableau than just the surface level products, right? And I think it's a very good way to frame it. I love it.
And I have a history that maybe you remember. Previous to Tableau, we have a big dependency with IT. In fact, I worked in IT in that time. And previous to Tableau, the difference is that basically how that works is, hey, I have a decision maker person that is saying, I need this. I need to know what is happening to take a decision. and this person basically go to magicians or masters in IT that produce a model or a universe. It's called in many ways in the legacy tools. And these models basically bring to the person and say, okay, but this number that you saw here is not numbers. This number that is here is basically categorization. Then you saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For me, it's a category. For me, is something. Then, but the guy who was in the model doesn't know that and created as a number, then somewhere. And then the problem is that this guy need to come back and say, no, change it. And this iteration is slow. The big changes that Tableau did, as I remember, is that basically the person who has the problem can change the model by himself.
Correct.
And when you basically took that and say, that is not fit with me, that I need it this way. And by the way, I can, and maybe in marketing is something, maybe in HR is something, maybe in commercial area is completely different. Basically, everybody can manipulate the model and say, hey, that is how it works to me. And then now I can take a decision. Then
you can frame the question.
The really, if you saw it in this way, is not only the visualization, is more deeper, the product. And that is why in Tableau DataDev, you can connect all these pieces and give the same power using applications.
It's much more powerful that way as well. That last thing you've said there about applications, I think it's an interesting journey that I think Tableau and a lot of analytics tools are going through. There is this sort of concept that dashboards are dying, right? Because they don't always answer the question. We build a lot of dashboards, but then we look at the utilization, there's low pickup, and why? It's because people are struggling to get the answer they need from those dashboards. So there's this idea of apps being developed, and I've always had this concept for a video in my head, which is, should that dashboard be a dashboard or should it be an app? Because I think so often people are intending to build apps, but they're putting it into a dashboard, and then it's not quite good, and it's clunky, and they're using hacks to make it work. When they should just go build the apps, use the APIs, use the wonderful power of the web to get what you need in the right format, the right context, and build the app you want to build, right? Build the solution. Tableau can still be part of it, right? And that distinction, I think, just isn't explored enough. But sometimes you have this idea that apps are like, you've probably seen this. Someone will say, I have a Tableau app, and you look at it and it's just a dashboard with lots of parameters, lots of set actions, and it's got all these things configured. And it's impressive. Don't get me wrong. It's really impressive how they're built. But to me, it's not the essence of what an app is supposed to be, right?
I mean, that is the limitations, because I already did it. I have, pages that looks like an app, but really is a dashboard that do stuff, that play. But when you want to see it as a mobile, it's not working as you expected. Then you can do it in another way. You can do create an app in a mobile world and use the SDKs that is also part of the DataDev. That we have the Bootstrap SDK for development, and basically bring the data there. But now, recently, like a year or 2 years ago, is BDS. That is
SQL Data Service.
SQL Data Services. And now with that, basically, we can have a difference and say, okay, now I connect to the data, and I can visualize in another interface. That tomorrow, who knows? Maybe... maybe we are talking to a machine and the machine talk to us with the values. Or maybe we are going to see a 3D world. Who knows?
Yeah, I have a Vision Pro on my desk, and I've beta tested the Tableau research project they had for the app, and it's not great, but I do have very strong opinions about viewing data in context, so not necessarily in 3D, but I'm talking like, if you're an architect or you work in retail, retail is a good one, because sometimes it really matters where you put things on the shop floor and how they perform. So imagine being able to, look at the shop floor, but visualize the sales data in real time on the floor and be able to see the trends and say, oh, everything on the aisle is selling really, really well. what can we move to the R that needs to perform better, right? Those kinds of things to me are just natural opportunities. If you work in architecture, if you work in civil engineering, being able to look at, I don't know, a bridge and then being able to see all the maintenance record as a data viz in context of the bridge, all of these things I think are super exciting. So that's why I own a Vision Pro, because I keep thinking this world is not that far away, and this is like the first opportunity to sort of really start to think about these ideas in a deep way. So that's something I'm super passionate about. Maybe I'll I'll come to the DataDev community. We'll start trying to learn a few bits. I'm slowly learning a few things, but still not fast enough.
Welcome, Tim. Anytime that you need it.
Good. Well, look, this discussion has been super interesting. I love it. So we'll try and put links to everything you've shown in the description so that everyone can access it. I'll go through the session today and I'll share everything you've shared, because I think it is important to genuinely try, right? Because I think the thing about this DataDev sort of community is it can look intimidating, right? Because the minute you see code, you're like, okay, that's not for me. People have tried coding, and I think the one thing I learned is when you learn something new like this, you need to find a good community in which to do it. And by community, I'm not just talking about people. I'm talking, it could be like a Reddit thread, it could be a Slack channel, it could be a forum, whatever that community is. You need a community where you can see an example of yourself achieving that solution, right? Because once you see an example of yourself, you're more likely to keep trying. Once you realize that everyone makes mistakes, you're more likely to carry on and push through. And I think once you've built something, you do need to be able to show it to someone, because that's when you get the best feedback, right? And so I really urge everyone to genuinely take part. Like, if you see something and you get stuck, genuinely just reach out to people and ask for help, because there's so many people I know, because I've reached out to a few people and they've helped me, right? And I'm not trying to learn this stuff. I'm just trying to sort of solve a problem. And the community is always very responsive. So find a good community, whether it's DataDev, Comunidatos, whatever you're doing, find a good community, ask the questions, and someone in that community will hopefully know someone who can help you answer the problem you're trying to solve. So highly encourage it. But yeah, any closing thoughts from you, Cristian?
I think that another thing that also you can do, apart of what you say, is connect with the leaders.
Yes.
We are normal people. We are not.
You're not
say, no, you are now officially. How can I call you? I am the same guy. I am the same Christian.
Yeah.
It's only that I am blessed to have many people that help me, and the only that I want is help back. It's only that. Yeah. Then there are many leaders in the community that think the same way. In fact, I think that the majority of us think in the same way. Mm-hmm. Then maybe it's a good way to connect with us. Ask, hey, where I can begin, what I can do with this stuff. The problem is that if you think that I'm going to do it by you, no, that is the way. I prefer to teach you to fish, and then you fish by yourself, right?
Correct.
But
that is a fair criticism. Lots of people do maybe hope for someone to give them a quick answer, and then they wonder why they've not learned that skill. Yeah.
Yes. And right now, for example, with the AI stuff, that is easier for learn about DataDev, because do you know that Anya,
she's my colleague. Yeah,
it's a visionary. It's DataDev too. And Anya, we have a conversation a long time ago, because his husband is Colombian too. Then it's a joke, but Anya does. Her background is not in technical areas.
Correct.
She's a historian. Then historian and business then comes to the DataDev community. And I always mention her because it's an example of, hey, you can do it too. It's not only for a special, like a skills or
correct.
Because no, it's not. It's basically only break the frontier that, hey, I need to do something. I know that it's possible to do it with these new tools and learn and use it.
Yeah. Anya's a colleague of mine at Aimpoint, and she's always sharing articles that relate to her love for history, and art as well, actually. And it's incredible because I'm familiar with her story. She was also at the data school at the information lab, so I've known Anya for quite some time. And her journey has been incredible, like genuinely. And like her talk when she talked about the VisQL data service at DataFam Europe was really well received, full house. And that was incredible to see because people have a lot to learn from her, but also I think you need beacons like that to say exactly what you said. That journey is for anyone. It's not about the background you have. It's just about, again, being curious, keep pushing, take it in small steps, because this is another thing I think you probably know. You can't just sit down and decide to become a developer. It's lots of small steps that you take, right? And they build up, they cumulatively build up. And only by doing it consistently for a long period of time, do people look at you as a developer, but you never felt like you became a developer. You were just solving one problem at a time. And then suddenly apparently you're the developer, right?
Yes, it is. And now you mentioned that, to me it was funny because I begin to, I don't like the word colder because I think that is wrong, the concept. But basically I begin to program at around 8-10 years old in the 80s. And that at that time, I have a few friends that know about programming and coding. And in fact, during the years, was difficult to find people that like this stuff because everybody say, no, I don't like it. I don't want to do that. And now my kids is, I don't know, 5 or 7 years old, and they already know a lot of programming that I was working on. Then it's only maybe that happened with us is that we are in a different time. We can travel to a time, but that is going to happen anyway, because the problems is there and the solution is there. Then it's only to know and connect and begin to use it. Nothing else.
Amazing. Cristian, thank you so much for your time. It's been really, really, I think it's been a really rewarding chat for me because I think it's just reminded me how important it is to sort of challenge yourself. Because I'll be honest, the reason I've not gone into development so much is because I think I've stayed comfortable with what I'm good at, right? I'm good at just explaining Tableau. I'm good at just telling people about the platform. I know what the APIs are. I can point at them. I can tell you what they do, but I never touch them. So I think it's been great to talk to you because I think you just have to get over that hurdle. You just have to try and fix a problem. And the showcase you've got, I might try and do them. Hopefully you don't mind me doing them. I'll try and do them, and maybe I'll post the videos like a month after I've done them, and you can kind of see some of the ones I do and see how that works. Maybe I'll come to you for feedback as well. But I think it's a super interesting. Super interesting.
And I invite you if anytime you want to create a challenge for the DataDev.
Yeah, maybe I will. Yeah,
please build them.
That is actually the best way to learn, to create a challenge for the rest of the community to solve, right? Because then you have to know it well enough for it to be a challenge.
Yeah, because it's interesting that part. It's not the same learn something, solve a problem, that wrote a document that explained to other people how you can learn about it. And that moment you say, okay, something that is basic as, I don't know, I use Visual Studio Code. Then another, and I have tricks like open a terminal, code space dot enter, and I open in my one. I say, oh my God, this simple thing, how can I explain that?
Exactly.
Because when I try with other friends, they say, oh, I need to install the command shell that I don't remember when I installed it. Like 10 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah, you just forgot like things that just exist. 100%. Maybe I'll do that instead of just doing the challenge. Maybe let me pledge to create a challenge for you at some point this year, right? So we're in February of 2024. It took us nearly 2 months to talk, so I have 10 months to get a challenge to you.
Thank you, Tim.
No worries. I will do that. I'll do that. Hold me to account. I'll definitely send you a challenge if you'll have me as well. Then, if the challenge sucks, then don't tell anyone. But yeah,
Don't worry. Don't worry. Simple things that for us, the funny is that we always try to have like a complex one, the more like something that reflects everything that you know, and it's the opposite. The challenge should be something simpler that everybody needs. And then from there, get now I understand the simple, then I can begin to grow. And that is the main reason of the challenge, is basically to everybody can learn. Then don't push too hard.
I'll come to you. Don't worry. I have an idea. Maybe are you going to conference by any chance?
Yes, I am. And by the way, I am going to speak also. It's my third year as a speaker.
Okay. What's your talk on?
I have two conferences. One is about the DataDev community, and we are going to show a demo about SQL Data Service or Headless BI. And the second one is with a team. Will Sutton.
Will Sutton, from the information lab. Yeah.
That we are going to talk about AI and line change. There is another way to connect with the internally they need a lot of layers to connect. Maybe you heard the words rack, or I don't want to say too much.
Don't give the talk away. But two talks at conference. I'll see you there. I'm going to be at conference too this year, so I look forward to meeting you in person.
See you. I'm really happy to be there with you.
Good. Well, listen, thank you so much. Thank you again for giving your time to the community. And we'll speak soon.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you.